we talk about the NBA? Let's
yes,
talk
we
about
can talk
LeBron
about the NBA.
James.
But he came on to talk about it.
I know we want to talk about the NBA, I mean the NFL, but what do you make of this? This is LeBron James. Let's show the tweet. Show the tweet.
It's not great.
He has these choice words. He goes after the Houston Rockets general manager himself. By the way, this is the same guy, because I just saw this other tweet come up, who a year or two ago was saying injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Same guy.
It is really a situation. And look, Andrew, the NBA is a business. It's sports. And they should be promoting their sport. They have the right to promote their sport all over the world. I think that the way that they've tried to handle this, I'll go back to Commissioner Silver's comments. And I think Commissioner Silver, by the way, is the most outstanding commissioner of any of the leagues that we have. He may have stepped in it the first time through, but the second time through, he said, look, we're going to back our players and our executives' right to say what they want. But he also recognized that that can create some issues.
I think that Adam said many of the right things, but then what I don't understand is what exactly LeBron James is doing, what Steve Kerr is doing, what Steph Curry is doing. I mean,
protecting their own.
I get that, but this is true money talks. And my question from a business marketing perspective is, does it come back to haunt the players? Does it come back to haunt the league? Or do American consumers not really care?
I don't believe it comes back to haunt the players or the league. When you look at the relationship with China, the NBA, has the leverage. China is an important part of the business, but it's only about 5 to 6 percent.
We have the bending over backwards.
We have the content. It feels awkward. I understand that. But we all work in places where we have to be careful what we post, what we say. And
you say something bad about the Chinese Communist Party, you say that maybe there should be more human rights and more freedom, and you can't say it. We have to be careful about saying that.
I understand, and I understand where you're coming from. It is a delicate situation.
You don't want to be caught currying favor with the communists.
I don't understand how we have the upper hand if this. I mean, why bother to go through the extent of these backflips and machinations?
If LeBron has the leverage, he should stand up and say what he said about every other political thing and polarizing thing that he doesn't like.
Again, it's a tricky situation for the NBA.
I don't get the tricky part that you're talking about.
Because it's money.
It really is. I mean, that's the bottom line. The bottom line is the bottom line.
Are they eventually going to be seen as a global league, not an American league?
Oh, they already are, Becky. They are the most global league. Apart from soccer is the global game, but in terms of a singular league, I would say the EPL, the English Premier League Soccer, and the NBA are the two most global leagues in the world.
You're being very tactful about all this. Just one more issue. How about ESPN? There hasn't been a political issue that they haven't bombarded. They got to the point where I can only watch on Saturday morning. That's the only time I can even watch ESPN. It's so political. They're forbidden to talk about this? I mean, they're as bad. That's as bad as LeBron.
I'm not in the politics of broadcasting.
Here you go again. You're very tactful, aren't
all
you?
I can say is this, that Jimmy Pitaro, it is an executive's right to do and say what he wants.
What did you think about when Kaepernick was taking a knee? Did you think that no one should talk? Do you think that you thought Kaepernick should be not allowed to play football?
I see the parallel that you're trying to draw, and I think that Kaepernick should have been allowed to express his opinion. And I think that Adam Silver has said that players and exexecutives should be allowed to express themselves.
Unless it's China.
But, again, it's a delicate situation. Joe doesn't buy it.
No, I don't.
I don't buy it either, sorry.
Well, maybe
we don't agree on much, but on this, we're together.
But then again, U.S. companies, their relationship with China, we've been in bed 20 years benefiting from our inflation rate's been a point lower because of what we get from China. So we're all complicit in,
Yeah, absolutely.
We're back to Godfather 2. We're all part of the same hypocrisy. Just don't think it ever involves my family.
I want to just ask in a different way. I remember when we spoke about Kaepernick 2 years ago, you did have a view that it was going to affect the NFL. You thought it might affect ratings. It might affect how consumers think, all of it.
Right.
Explain the distinction between that and why you think consumers and everybody else related to the NBA, at least in the United States or the rest of the world, is not going to care.
Yeah, I think it's important that there is a big distinction in the fact that the Kaepernick situation here taking place here in the States, that's going to impact people here in the United States and how they consume
no one's
the content.
Kneeling during the anthem
and with
anymore, are they?
With the issue, no, they're not.
They're kneeling before it, or
that's correct.
Okay.
And you talk about an issue that's in another part of the world that many American citizens, I think it's fair to say, aren't perhaps as well educated on that particular matter than they were on the Kaepernick situation. So that's why I believe it's not going to have a major impact on how American consumers consume the sport of basketball.
But look, the world's a much smaller place. Twitter means we all get to see all of these things.
Yes.
I think Americans are sitting up and paying attention because of how China reacted to that GM tweet, that nobody would have seen the Houston GM's tweet had China not picked up on it.
Patrick,
So
you don't think millennials know about Tiananmen? You don't think they know about Chairman Mao? You don't think they know about they don't know about the Chinese
Certainly there's a segment of the
Huh?
population that does. Certainly there is.
But
I haven't done
They know about the Uyghurs.
I haven't done
and
a
the
poll of
internment
NBA
camps.
fans.
We're not on the air right now over there now, I'm sure.
Sure, I haven't done a poll of NBA fans to know what their interest level is. But I will say this, the other interesting thing is if you look at the back end of this with respect to, is China going to back off just a little bit? Because, of course, what are they hosting in 2022? They're hosting the Olympics. Right. And so how hard they pursue this going forward, I think that's going to be mitigated by the fact they're hosting.
How much do you think the players are being influenced by their agents, by their sponsors? Is Nike calling them saying, don't say a word?
That
please?
Would be a fascinating thing to know, because my sense would be there are probably some executives that would want to say something to their players that have a big interest. Now, whether that's actually happening, I don't know.
Well, there's a paper trail inside ESPN, apparently, actually, interestingly enough.
But you would think you wouldn't want to put that in an email, but you don't think Nike is like massaging?
Well, that's what I'm sure, you know.
Nobody's told.
I mean, look. Let's go back to what did Commissioner Silver say behind the scenes to Daryl Morey? What did Fertitta, the owner of the Rockets, say to Daryl Morey behind the scenes? We can only wonder.
Don't you think here Daryl Morey comes off in a much more favorable light than anyone else after all is said and done? Don't you think it? Or do we look at him and say that was a foot in mouth? I mean, I don't see how you can get criticized for saying stand with the freedom fighters.
And you shouldn't be. I agree with that, absolutely. I just think it's a very...
anyone else looks good. And you think Silver looks good, I'm not so sure. He's like...
It's just such a delicate balance. It's a tightrope that's no one wants to be on.
Can I ask you...
But a lot of companies are.
Sure.
That's just the reality. When you're doing that much business in a market that's big, you set yourself up for this.
And it's something, and actually a prior commissioner, David Stern, had indicated this several decades ago when the NBA first got into China.
Can I ask you a separate question? This actually relates to Nike. I don't know if you saw this news. Nike's closing this Oregon project. Did you follow this? This was this track and field program that Nike had sponsored. It was overseen by this guy Alberto Salazar, who then was found guilty by the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, and now they're shutting down these things. Why do you think Nike, which has been accused over the years of being involved in doping or supporting things that you would think that consumers would be unhappy about, has managed to not be implicated, at least by the consumer?
That's an interesting case. I mean, again, Nike has tried to stand for virtue in a lot of different areas, and the fact that they've been able to avoid this is, a testament maybe to the brand that they've built up over time. And I also think, we talked about Kaepernick earlier, they built a lot of street cred. More street cred by the way they took a stand on how they essentially promoted Kaepernick's cause. So I don't know if all these things help them deflect some of these issues like you just raised.
They built street cred, or they created a situation where they're going to have to show the same resolve in these other issues. Well, so they don't look like they're complete hypocrites.
You're right, Becky. They do need to do that.
What's LeBron's Twitter account look like, do you think, right now? Is anyone saying, are any of his followers saying, way to go, LeBron, you stood up for that? That's what I mean. So he's got to see that, doesn't he?
In China.
Yeah, in China. He's getting some positive comments. In China, you probably can't read right to left, I think. I mean, it's much harder to...
I mean, this is obviously a very divisive topic, and he's going to get...
You sound like you're in the NBA, Rishe. I don't...
20 seconds, because we're going to get in trouble. Does the Jay-Z NFL partnership mitigate all of the stuff that happened before?
That's a tough call. I think that it's a partnership that, again, you try to separate church from state, and I think that's.
Well, this is church and state coming together here.
For sure. I think at the end of the day, the Jay-Z NFL partnership is a favorable one.
Let me see. Let me try one more thing.
Right here.
Are the Cardinals still going to win? I want to see you handle this.
The Blues finally won their first Stanley Cup in 52 years.
Take the Cardinals to the Blues? I didn't ask about the Blues.
I was more upset about the Islanders beating the Blues yesterday than I was about the Cardinals going down 3-0 to the Nats.
Are they going to get swept?
Probably so.
We've gone way over time. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.